Hello, hello. We said we would break for an hour, and it has been maybe an hour and oh, actually, I guess about an hour. Yeah. At 12:30, I said bye. That's when I was doing my outro. So yeah, it's been about an hour. But hey, Sinicello, hey, Presto, hey, Kevin. Guess someone already took first. Gotta be fast. Gotta be quick as lightning to claim it. I would call Sinistello the lightning master. Okay, so consolidate tasks. Yeah, we have to get down to just a task list somewhere. I was talking to that Pige. Ugh, bad influence. Now, if we had a fifth redeem or something, he'd be great. Could redeem first, but Twitch isn't giving me the stream. Oh, weird. You're not hearing all of the nice things I'm saying about you. Feels bad, man. Okay, so the main goal for this afternoon is to go through this document and do two things. One, consolidate tasks. And two is make sure it's bulletproof. So let's start with a task consolidate. Actually, should we do that? We should probably do the bulletproof part first. No, maybe we can do it when it's all a solid plan. Okay, I want to make a new tab. I want to call this one Scratch. Rename Scratch. Rename Design. Then put all of the Scratch section from here into this document, this tab. It should automatically get the headers. Yeah, there they are. And that way our conclusion so far can just go into here. And I can answer the rest of these questions and everything. Yeah, how many work days do we have? 1, 2, 17, 21. Because I'm not going to work on the 4th. Probably count on another one of these days being bad. So let's say 20 days. And not all of them are probably going to be dedicated to just development. I'm feeling the pressure. Definitely feeling it. Okay, yeah. Let's get everything together. I should just treat this as a low-key stream. Yeah, we've got to be productive, but let's not fret. F5 fixes everything. Yeah, turn it off and back on again. The age-old solution. Don't want it too big. Okay, so this is written down. we're gonna go through all this stuff. In fact, I'll just put them on two separate halves of my screen so that I can see them both at once. If I need this to be on Scratch. It allows this. He's a low-key streamer. You know me, always trying to stay with the in crowd. All right, say you're progressing deeper into location. Yep, that's fine. Bosses could appear on the map temporarily. Where is that? You would still have to upgrade the portal after beating the boss to get to the next location. That's all fine. I think we've already combed through all of those. New town's not going to happen anytime soon. Is it interesting to collapse all rare items down to one premium currency? No. What if you sold monsters? Okay, this is super cool and we should write it down for the future. Monster raising. Monster raising is something worth adding in a later patch if the game is successful. Let's copy the header no longer exists. Oh, I moved it. Oh, well, it's a good thing I rewrote this note then, or else I wouldn't have linked to anything. All right, so what number was that? That was 6, I think. Yeah. Yeah, monster raising was an interesting idea. I do like that. And actually, I'm not sure if we're going to have a problem here with how much sludge you're going to need because we haven't increased how you get more sludge. What we probably need to do is just change the multipliers for the farm or something. Hey, Laxton. Happy 1 year. Yeah, welcome back. I was going to say, I rarely see your name in chat. And possibly you changed it since I last saw it. I'm not even sure. But yeah, thank you for the resub. Okay, so yeah, I wonder if we'll have a sludge problem here. I'll write this down. Often lurking. Gotcha. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a good time lurking. Do we need to do anything about the sludge accrual rate? We are roughly doubling the length of the game, but haven't changed how you get sludge. All right, sold the monsters, pets, etc. What else do we have here? Yeah, crafting is still bad if there are no functions for items. I cannot stress that enough. Crafting is still sort of pointless if there... Oh, wait, this should go up here. Don't need to vary monster locations. We do need to vary the gameplay a bit. This is where the treasure chest... I've been stewing on the treasure chest system for a while, too. Rare items fit much more with the overall Skeleseller theme. I even wrote that down. Nice. If we don't vary the gameplay, then we don't need to worry about that. Add another cutscene. Oh my god, I forgot about this too. Saying that the portal is upgraded and you can now go deeper into each location. It should probably look a little different too. Probably still want a monetary cost to gate progression. Cutscenes, you probably mentioned that strange you haven't found an antidote yet as a callback to how you died. So that's going to be an art thing that we need. Let's just write this here. Other things to file. Probably need art. Probably need to make the new cutscene for upgrading the portal. It'll be the first cutscene that plays during gameplay. Hopefully this isn't hard to do. And we need artwork for the portal, upgraded portal. Maybe it changes color or gets bigger. Need to think of how items around it will work, since they could we change the color or something? And right now it's purple. I kind of like this, and it matches the title screen. Title screen has the portal in the background like that. So if we were to upgrade this visually, and I think it's a good idea to signal that you're in the hard mode part of the game, we could just maybe change the color. It'd certainly be the easiest thing to do. Change the color of the particles, change the color of the sprite. And I could even do that myself. Maybe make it red. You shift it red. Okay, cool. Let's keep going with this. So crafting is still sort of pointless if there are so few functions for items. Not having functions for items. It just doesn't make sense in the context of Skeleseller, since items are primarily to be sold for gold. Yeah. So any variations in crafting would only be compelling if the prices varied quite a lot. Probably dynamically varied too. Cool. Yeah. All right. We have what? 9 out of 27. We need to go through all 27 of these. Or we're done with some of them so far. Shops are typically for selling stuff, so it's possible you put the input in the shop. That's fine. As far as space goes, whatever this new thing is, the enchanter could be moved. Yeah, if we ever need to, I'll write that down as a conclusion. If we ever need to move or like make space for anything, we could move the enchanter and cut the warehouse in half vertically via use of shelving. All right, rare items. Are better than crafting because the choice doesn't matter. Also why we opted for the treasure chest system. If the choice of items doesn't matter, then don't provide it to the player. Yeah. We need names for stuff. I'll write that down as a question somewhere. What are we calling the new mimic? Okay, what else do we have? So treasure chest system. You hire a mimic in town. I'll just copy paste this stuff. Because why rewrite this? Could be a slime in the shape of a chest. Could be named something like that. You now find treasure chests at a low drop rate. Probably after building the mimic, the very first battle you do should drop a treasure chest. Maybe one of the first battles in hard mode should be forced to drop a treasure chest after building the mimic. Or maybe yeah. All right, chests need to be opened via lock picking, which takes time for your workers to do. We didn't thematically say what's going on there because the chests will open naturally, which I think the mimic is convincing them to do. Chests have a timer indicating when the mimic can open them. You can speed this up by putting keys in the chest. The chests result in some amount of loot, which you can then sell, yep. The mimic has perks, e.g. this stuff. We can come up with more easily. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Plus perks can always be added in later. So the slime is convincing the chests to open. Mimic. I will ask them nicely to open themselves. I just love this idea. You can speed this up by offering them keys. Also, I like the idea of offering them keys. Like you're not just jamming a key in the lock and seeing does it work. You're just like, hey, here's a key. Oh, this is this kind of stuff that makes me laugh at least. Keys are discrete items. The mimic comes with a weapon grinder. It turns weapons into keys. Just like how the extractor works. The weapon grinder becomes a quick move menu destination for weapons with the same hotkey as the extractor, whose label may change at that point to say extractor / weapon grinder. Or maybe we just call it an extractor as well. I don't know. These are things that don't really matter. We can always decide later. Keys are discrete items, just like anything else in the game. We have 6 key graphics, and I have a plan for, well, wait a second. Some of these keys increase the amount of loot that a chest will give you, at least the way that this is designed. Does that make you not want to open the chest beforehand so that you can double the loot from it? Can't have a chest opening without a funky tune? Every single time you open one? We are going to need sound effects for this stuff. Well, we can hopefully use something we already have. I have a plan for a few of them. Let's copy these. All keys work in all chests. All keys work in all chests. Can now find treasure chests. Chests have a timer. Chests result in some kind of loot. Chests. What do we have? These timers may vary based on the kind of chest. They're probably in the 7 to 20 minute range, since we expect you to use keys to speed them up. So the average time to open a chest should probably be roughly a minute or two per chest after you use all the keys. But I guess you'd be speeding this up as you collect weapons. Because the better weapons would turn into more keys. Yeah. All keys work in all chests. Keys could have perks associated with them. Yeah, speed up lock picking, chance to double a key's effect. Yeah, I think that's probably good. Increase the potency of all keys. Could also split this up per key, but I think that's less interesting. Okay, how do you get keys? You have a weapon grinder. We already have the extractor, access an item sync. So start with this and see how it feels. That's good. Rationale. This uses systems we already have and adds an item / gold sync. Cool. All right, what if you do if you have too many keys? So I didn't think about that, did I? That the weapon grinder would have like key slots next to it, and that it would need to be accessible to your characters. The weapon grinder comes with how many of these would it come with? I guess you're not always getting keys. Probably like 5. We have 4 types of keys. And by this point, we can probably expect that you have stacking. So if you filled up every one of these things, you'd have 2 of each kind of key. And presumably you have treasure chests. I'll just say some number of key-specific item displays. Maybe 4, since there are 4 kinds of keys. I'm not concerned about how many exactly we have. We can add in more if we want to. If all of those displays are full, the weapon grinder won't accept more weapons. Say the grinder won't accept more weapons. Okay. Workers carrying keys that can't be used will put them back in your warehouse. Is that what happens here? I said if they have a key, they would trash it for almost no value. But then didn't I mention something about the warehouse? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Option 3. Okay. So workers carrying keys that can't be used will put them back in your warehouse. They could also try to put it in your key storage thing. This implies that workers should try taking keys from the warehouse first. And sure, you can do that same thing if you want to. How do chests make it to battle? Or how do they make it to wherever they're supposed to go? So what if they can't be stored in your warehouse? I didn't actually think about that, did I? Maybe these can't go in your warehouse. They always spawn on the ground. And they could be moved if there's a slot, but if there isn't a slot, then... But if like 4 treasure chests drop, you're going to have the same problem, right? Sometimes the treasure chest is just stuck on the ground. The garbage sign can eat these, and it's more of an incentive to open the chest. Workers may move slowly enough that when you see them go to the garbage slime, you want to take it. Maybe we even allow that to happen. An issue where you're finding too many treasure chests and may want to reject one. At that point, I don't see an issue with letting you move to the garbage slime. People will probably want loot filtering to automate the process. Oh, man. All right, let's not worry about the whole they drop on the ground thing. That doesn't really matter, I guess. Except for we do need to think of how these item graphics are going to work. There are going to be a lot of these little problems we encounter over the next month. Well, it's got to be productive. So chests drop just like any other item, and that they'll try going to the warehouse first. And if there's no room, they'll drop on the ground. Workers who are holding chests should move at like 10 to 20% their normal speed, indicating that the chests are heavy. It does kind of make sense, right? Like in a lot of games, especially something like a Zelda type of game, you're carrying 14 different items on you. What, Link's holding a sword, a boomerang, a whole bunch of bombs, a bow and a ton of arrows, like a bunch of money, which was, they were gems. Like how many of those can you hold? There's no explanation for that. But nobody cares. So same thing with this, right? Yeah, you can hold a sword, sure. But you try holding a treasure chest, you can't do that. Hey, F, number goes up. Who would have guessed? Thank you for the resub. Were you in Windy's stream today? I have my sentries relaying information to me about a certain data structure that he's learned, the dictionary. A certain Holtzy might have come in. The secret data structures. All right, what happens if there's no empty slot? Yeah, so this, workers with no destination for a treasure chest. Actually, I guess they could put those back in the warehouse too, and then you'd be responsible for selling them. The only problem is if you start accumulating too many of these things. We'll bring them to the garbage slime. Yeah, this incentivizes you to upgrade everything and use keys. If we didn't do this, then chests may accumulate in your warehouse. Yep. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Winnie's doing an admirable job, not completely breaking down, given the countless options and opinions he's getting from programmers all around. Yeah, props for that. I was saying this to Holtzy earlier. I was like, I'm no stranger to trying to learn technical things on stream and having that same spew of input and information. And I've done it enough now where I think I can typically separate out whether someone's actually being helpful or not, and then kind of putting my foot down. I think Windy has the added pressure of, to put it succinctly, like a this game needs to work kind of mentality, which I'm really hoping it does. But I think that adds to the whole like, oh man, I have a need to learn this. It's not just for fun or anything. And if I'm, getting distracted by chat, it's more and more frustrating. And I was thinking about this myself too, because let's say you're giving advice to someone, which happened. I mean, I talked to him about this stuff. Like, programming is a multi-year endeavor for a lot of people just to get to the point where you're comfortable doing something. And there are lots of options for doing something a certain way. And game dev in particular has a lot of shortcuts that people take just to make things easy to get something out the door. Although all development has that same sort of like, you could take a shortcut. So I always kind of wonder, like, how much should you practice the craft of coding versus just do things to get your game done? And it's tough. So yeah, in a lot of cases, I spewed a bunch of information at him and said, you should figure some of this stuff out. It was like a 5-viewer chat, or there's a possibility of having a discussion. Yeah, if you can talk to him, I think it's different. I think if you're typing, it's very hard. Having the breakdown without Twitch chat, can't imagine having hundreds of people yelling at me live. Yeah. Yeah. And generally, and I'm sure you know this, but generally these people are trying to be helpful and they sometimes just don't know how to be helpful. Or they are genuinely being helpful, but their messages are delayed by 30 seconds and someone else interjected a bunch of messages in between and the context is lost. And so now there's like okay, what was I saying 30 seconds ago and how does that apply? So now you have to type a longer message to try to keep all the context in it. So yeah, it's very tough. It's just not an environment that's really set up for that. Yeah, the reading delay is horrible for mental fragmentation. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we wrote this down, right? Of feeling the balance of getting this done and learning to code can be applied to every programmer's day job, not just this. Kind of. I think the way I sort of look at it is that a lot of programmers got to their day job by being programmers. So now when you're on the job, you're probably learning different techniques and everything, but you're not necessarily learning like here's what a variable is or here's what an if statement is or something. And I mean, Wendy's at a higher level than that, but he's not necessarily at the level of like, okay, I have 10 years of game dev experience as a coder. So now I'm going to apply it to this engine or this language. It's more like, let's learn the coding techniques as we learn how to make a game using the techniques. So it's kind of a double whammy of like mental overload. Okay, cool. So we've answered this. Garbage slime can eat these. Yeah, so treasure chests are worth some like nominal-ish value when fed to the garbage slime. Maybe it's roughly the same as a single item. So if you think about it, a treasure chest is, let's say, 20 items. So if you were to just ditch it on its own, it being worth one item is like 5% of its cost. It's not nothing, but it's definitely not great. Yeah. All right, how does stacking work with keys? We should write that down. Keys can stack like any other item. However, you or a worker will only spend one at a time. May need to change drop off item so that we stay in the drop off item state in that case. Stay in it. And you may run out of chests at some point. Yeah, that's fine. Keys do not show up. Keys do not trigger the quick move menu because they can have many destinations that are not all the same, which has never happened in the game before, I think. Right? If you put something in a shop, every one of these displays is the same. If you put something in the extractor, well, there's only one extractor, so it's the same as the one extractor. Same thing with the garbage slime, there's just one destination. Same thing with the tavern, there's one destination. And the warehouse is just like the shop in that there are many destinations. And I guess technically there's a tiny bit of a difference in that there's more travel time from the top slot from versus the bottom slot. But I think it always tries to put it in the bottommost slot, which is what you want. So in all of those cases, there's no decision to be made. But once you have, let's say, 4 treasure chests, you might want to put a key in this one versus this one based on any number of factors. For this, the chest tooltip will have to show its current loot bonus. And we'll need an error message for when you have reached the maximum and try putting in another key. Workers will need to know this too. Alternatively, the key could reduce the time by, no, that's kind of dumb. I don't know. Yeah, 10 seconds and give the loot bonus. That way it's always usable. Event condition action. Yeah, yeah. I learned extremely little from my job whenever I programmed. It's personal projects where I actually had to go out and search for information that I wasn't aware of. I know what you're talking about. But I've definitely learned things on the job, especially ones where I've worked with other smart software engineers. And I think at the very least, the code review process is great for that. It's great for sharing knowledge. Hey, did you know you could do this? Here's a better way of structuring things. This should use this design pattern. And then you have a research point you can go look into, whereas previously you might not have known about it. Yeah. Okay, what else do we have here? Customers can want keys. Oh yeah, make sure that that's not a thing. Make sure customers don't desire chests. Since they drop from battles. And likely trigger the problem I saw when I had the forest drop keys temporarily. Gonna need to modify this. Okay. So the slime or the mimic should spawn with 4 chest slots around them. Chests only decrease their opening timers and become destinations for items or for keys when they are in one of those slots. They look like the enchanter podiums, but maybe I'll use the purple. What is it even called? Like tablecloth? Yeah, tablecloth. Feel like I learned a decent bit of work. I've changed sub industry every 6 years. Yeah. When things are on fire, you generally can't afford to stop and learn properly. Yeah. So that's why I said I know what LT Method's talking about, because I also feel that same pressure. Like there's a lot of AI stuff that I kind of want to look into, but that I just can't really justify the time right now. Yeah. Side note, I think there are certain problems that are language problems, certain problems that are thinking problems, and certain problems that are actually just problems. So like, let's say you're in pain. What does this slot into? And it's like one of these two. You could potentially do some sort of mind over matter sort of approach to it. But like if you have a broken leg or something, like that's just a problem. And then some things are just ways that you talk about that become a problem. They start poisoning your thinking. Like if you say, I hate my job enough, you probably will start hating your job. Then you'll start thinking that. And then you'll actually have a problem, which is like, oh, now I'm depressed about my job or something. I keep saying things like I'm spread really thin ever since Next Fest. And I wonder if I'm starting to poison some other part of my life. On one hand, it keeps me mindful that I have a lot to do and I shouldn't be squandering this. But on the other hand, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Like last night, for example, I kept saying, okay, I'm going to go relax. I'm going to relax. And I kept working on stuff. And I've been productive today, so it hasn't cost me anything, I guess. But is my sanity slipping away? I don't know. All right, this is fine. Oh yeah, perks board. The mimic should have a perks board. Probably need to change the string that says this. Need to make sure customers don't desire ultra rare items. Rare items. It's tabbed in too far. Is it tabbed in far enough now? It's so hard to track this. Yes. All right, so rare items, probably need to change that string and need to make it so that customers probably don't want anything that has a tiny chance to drop. These can be manifested as rare items. Saying I gotta relax repeatedly while you're working at high speed is a classic. Hey, Leap Your Girl. That's a good one to think about. Yeah, and by the way, I think, I mean, I know I had this written down here and I'm going to close the tab, but language, thinking, and problems, or your mentality, I guess, about this. It's worth differentiating where something is being sourced. So like I said, if you can identify that something is a problem and you know it's an actual problem, then yes, you should find a solution for it. But if all you're doing is talking about something in a bad way, and like I said, I think the most common thing is like, I hate my job, or I don't want to be working here. That's potentially creating a problem that didn't really exist. I'm not saying people don't actually hate their jobs. Your job can be a problem. Maybe you're working too long or you're not being paid enough. But a lot of people just say this stuff anyway, and there's like a social pressure to feel this way, I think. At least in the US. I think to say I love my job is just not as common a thing as you might hope that it is. I can't compare to other countries. I haven't lived anywhere else to know that. But yeah, it's more common people will complain about their jobs than not. And I'm not living in some ideal world where I'm like, everyone has to love their job, or if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think there's a subset of those people who are amplifying their negativity unnecessarily. Okay, so that stuff's all done. How do we make sure valuable items are sold in the way you want? Probably limit the number of unique items that can drop from a chest. Oh yeah. So loot from the chests. Chests should only drop a small number of distinct items. E.g. maybe, yeah, I guess, but they can drop any quantity of those items. This way, you don't totally disrupt a shop by needing like 12 unique spaces. We can reuse the, I'll just write this, the gold target system. Sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy if you keep saying the same thing, maybe. Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. And I think too, you can also use this as an indication for how you feel about something. So imagine if I serve you dinner and I say, how was it? And you say, it's not the worst thing I've eaten. Technically, this could mean it's the best thing you've eaten, but it almost never means that, right? Like what this probably means is it wasn't great. And here is language revealing how you feel about something just because of how you chose to phrase it. And I think when you start paying attention to this from other people, or even yourself, you start noticing how language shapes how you feel. And I'm not going to get too like off target here for this stuff, but I think as a society, you start, if you go like way back to when societies first started forming, there are a lot of obvious real problems. There are things like sickness and how do you find food and where will you get shelter and what do you do about natural disasters or any other number of things that are just real problems that you need to deal with. And then as society progresses, and especially the point we're at now, a lot of these problems don't exist anymore, or at least not to the same extent. Like how many diseases have been eradicated that you just don't need to worry about, or things that were death sentences aren't death sentences. Like there's a rabies shot that didn't exist for all of history, right? So then you start focusing on things that you have the privilege of focusing on because you don't have life-threatening crises all the time. And that's why I think focusing on language is potentially helpful, because it lets us tackle these like very first world problems now of how do people feel and how do you make sure mental health is being secured, excuse me. Working on crop insurance for the past year, I can safely say I hate it. It's so boring. Yeah. Like I said, it's entirely possible that there are just problems and it's not necessarily how you think about it. And the other thing too is, let's say, yeah, your job is super boring. Would saying that you're excited about it change your mind in any way? Probably not. Probably just make you feel inauthentic. Can work together and try pretty hard to ensure everyone's having a good or at least okay time. Definitely see people in my age group still thinking the grass is greener elsewhere, while most work is just work. Yeah, I agree with this. Irrigating. Wasn't sickness though. People just succumb to the devil more. What are we talking about? Wasn't sickness though? I'm very curious what that's in response to. Because at least what I was saying here about like we've eradicated certain diseases, like people did die from those diseases that we've gotten rid of. Sickness at the start of society forming. Wait, well, okay, let me cut through this a little bit. Are we on the same page that we've gotten rid of certain diseases? Do you agree with this statement? Like that we've gotten rid of them? I won't lie, it takes me a long time to even find the willpower to open code when I start my day. My tasks for the week are smaller and bug related. My motivation is low, but if it's a big meaty ticket that'll take a couple days and get into it. Yeah, and I think AI is going to help on that front. At least cut out some of the very boring tasks. Studies that show how difference in language, grammar, etc. across cultures actually shapes things like mental health. We say I hurt myself, which can invoke shame. Cultures where the grammar is more like I was hurt are less susceptible to that. Yeah, I hate Schrodinger's. I've heard this sort of thing before. And again, I can only compare so much from firsthand experience because I pretty much just say I speak English. I mean, I've dabbled in other languages, but yeah, I pretty much just speak English, and I pretty much only lived in the US. There have been like vacations I've taken or maybe a slightly longer amount of time I've spent in another place, but I can't say I've really lived there. And even if I had been there for, let's say, a month, that's not really enough to absorb all these nuances. Okay, chests need to drop enough loot to offset the number of weapons. Yeah, that we can figure out later. They kind of do. Let's just see how it goes. It's totally fine. I guess I'll write this down. Loot filter. People will probably want tools to control where their loot is going. E.g., they may not want the slime to be fed certain items. They may want to take items from workers. For any of these problems, we'll just wait and see what happens from playtesting so that we don't try tackling too much at once. I wonder if I should consolidate all these design documents somewhere so that they're in chronological order. I guess Google Drive sort of does that though, so maybe I don't need to do anything else. For a long while in history, sickness was badly understood and often attributed to failure to follow current prevailing religion. Yeah, okay, I could see that. And that hindsight is what allowed us to see that sort of thing. Okay, yeah. This is why I wanted to ask about this, to make sure that we're on the same page. I think we can be on the same page there. I took it as a more religious, like a, hey, sickness isn't actually a thing in the modern age either. And any problems with society are based on people straying from certain morals. Which, again, to each their own. You can have whatever opinion you want. I want to understand what I'm talking about and what other people are talking about before responding. I think quests should start taking item drops from chests. Yeah, we should probably do that. Quests, we should have them take items from chests. We should make it clear on the quest progress board which chest drops that item. It should probably be one of the guaranteed items. Or like nearly guaranteed. So for example, let's say there's a chest that has an 80% chance to drop one sword. Like having that sword be a quest item, I think is fine. But if it has a 1% chance to drop an armor, that probably shouldn't be a quest item. That should probably just be a valuable item. All right, so yeah, how do chests drop at all? Chests are actually unique things that have their own loot tables. Chests are all distinct items with their own loot tables. E.g., the red chest, just as an example, may have something like 80% chance to drop 2 weapons, 60% chance to drop 4 armors, 70% chance to drop 4 to 8 potions, 1% chance to drop a rare item. Yeah, and then hard mode locations, or like post inferno locations, can all be given chances to drop certain amounts of each chest. Probably 2 per location. 3% for a bad chest. 1% for a good chest. That all needs to be thoroughly balanced. Slightly worried players will loop back, blah, blah, blah. What do they end up saying? I think this is what we ended up going with. The better chests should have much more valuable loot. The first chest can be worth 1,000 gold on average. And it can keep going up by 50% after that, rather than the usual like 20 to 30%. The vault could be reintroduced later if we need. Just like with loot filters, we'll just keep an eye on this, on whether we need this. We can always add it later. Easier to add than it is to remove from the game. Anything's easy enough to remove from the playtest version because we can always just say, hey, your save file was deleted. Too bad, you're testers. You knew this would happen. But you can't do that to actual players. Okay, so the weapon grinder goes into the back of the weapon shop. I'll write that here, yeah. The weapon grinder goes into the back of the weapon shop. It comes with 4 key-only item displays. Yeah, good. Okay, that sounds fine. And then the grinder has a lever on it to control whether or not weapons will be brought to it. Oh no. Oh, I can already picture the coding work for this stuff. We had an inheritance hierarchy for an item machine, and the only thing that inherits from it right now is the weapon the extractor. But now the weapon grinder is going to inherit from it too, and we'll have to modify that. It's not necessarily problematic. It's just, yeah, this is where, like I said, my language is going to get the best of me. Time and energy. That's all this comes down to. I don't think we're going to have any major technical hurdles that we can't overcome. It's time and energy. And maybe to some extent, motivation, if you separate that from energy. Like, you can have a desire to do something and no energy to do it. Or you can have all the energy in the world and no motivation to go use that energy. So yeah, something like that. And then the rationale is we're purposely, artificially increasing the distance between the warehouse and the grinder so that your workers have to walk farther. They will be thoroughly upgraded at that point, so it should be minimal from your perspective. I wonder if this also means we should split up these perks a little bit. Where's the town hall? So we have this perk right here. The speed boost is just, it's always plus 20%. So if you think about it, going from 100% to 120% is a 20% boost, of course. But then going from 120% to 140% is a 17% boost. Yeah. So it's only a 16.67% boost. And then so on and so forth, right? This number keeps dropping. So I wonder if, I don't want it to be the same throughout anyway. I think that's fine. But I wonder if instead of capping out at 200%, or how we get there should be different. Like right now we go 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. And I wonder if we should tweak this so we get some extra levels out of here somehow. So this is like 155, 170, 185. and then 200. So we've gotten one more level you can put in. And then we make this final level be after you've beaten the Inferno. I'll just write it down as an idea. Let's put some percent signs before all of these. There. We may want to change, what is this called? Swift shoes. Whoops. Swift shoes to eke another level out that can only be gotten after upgrading the town hall. Current proposed. Okay. Yep, sounds good. What happens to the loot that comes out of the chest? Yeah, I did not mention this. The items drop just like they do coming out of the portal. If there's space in the warehouse, they go there immediately. I think we actually should consider having them fly there. If the chests are all going to be close to the warehouse anyway. Cool. And then artwork needs. Where is that? Oh yeah, need the mimic, need icons for perks. Need any special building / enclosure. If we even want one. We might not. The slimes right now are just on these little stone platforms. So if we have a mimic slime, it could just be on one of those stone platforms and we just put it inside of a ground thing. 15% gets you to 205 steps. Hey, Devil Dog. What do you mean? Are you saying if I do plus 15% for every level? Because I was thinking of splitting it like this, where it's plus 20, plus 20, plus 15, 15, 15, 15. So the first 40% is via 20% steps. And then the next 60% is via, yeah, exactly what the AI typed out. So that way the impact feels like more front loaded, which is, I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. We could just have everything darting around at the speed of sound. Sonic the Hedgehog. This could be what your town looks like at the end. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. The nice thing about these sorts of things is that they're the easiest things in the game to change. If you ever want to tweak what these numbers are, we can just change them and then just see, does it feel good? Does it feel bad? If we wanted to make it so that there was like a 5% chance for a speed boost, they could like sprint every once in a while. Like that's a harder thing to do because then we need to go code all that. Did I hear hedgehog? Yes. All right. So I think we've extracted everything out of the scratch section of this document. So now we can close that. And now we need to see if we have any other questions to answer. So what are we calling the new mimic? I guess let's go back to the scratch section. And I guess, is it a slime? So when I say greed cube, we could call it the, what's the first thing called? The garbage slime? The greed slime? It's not really a greed slime though. We could call it a mimic slime. A slimic. I think mimic slime isn't bad. I think just calling it the mimic is also probably not bad. It could be like, okay, I don't want to regret searching for this. Slime treasure chest. Let me do this off screen first. These search results are terrible. Let me search with Google. Slime treasure chest. Okay. I don't like any of that. Hang on, let me see if I can find something here. All right. Slime that looks like a treasure chest. A cartoonish medieval fantasy slime that looks like a treasure chest. Create. Okay, I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have it make these things on screen. Is there anything private here? No, I don't think so. All right, let's see. Let's see AI go. Okay, not what I was thinking. This is more like a slime in a treasure chest, and it wants to kill me. This is upset that it's a treasure chest. And this is a slime with, or sorry, this is a chest with slime in it. A happy, cartoonish medieval fantasy slime. Did it even click the create button right there? Should it be happy? The garbage slime is happy. The chef slime is angry. Should we pick some other emotion for this thing? Maybe like a worried looking slime. That'd be kind of funny. All right, let's see what it's gonna make. Again, this is just to see if I have an idea for what to name this thing. And whether it should even be a slime. It could just be a treasure chest. Hey, Southpaw. Slime chest of immense gluttony. Is that a thing? I don't see it in search results. Why is this taking so long? It's supposed to be a fast creation. Enjoy your daily free creations. I'm not enjoying anything right now except for a spinning button. Okay, let me refresh the page, I guess. Hang on a second. Did it generate it or no? I don't even know where to see my past ones on here. History. Bing search history. Where's my creations? Found it. Oh, it still says it's generating it. Oh, it generated 3 of them. It's just not finished yet. Yeah, I don't know why this one's taking so long. I had to generate some Skeleseller stuff. I thought this was pretty cool. I tried to make it match the actual character artwork, and it did a pretty good job. I was pretty happy with this one. This looks oddly like Bitcoin, doesn't it? Okay, so it generated 3 of them. This image is missing. Want to design your own? Wait, what? How do I just see this thing? Hide failed. It didn't fail, though. I just can't see it. Oh, come on. Fine, I'll just have it generate another one. Happy cartoonish medieval slime that looks like a treasure chest. Create. It normally finishes quickly. Also, whatever's down here, I like the look of this. Ellie, that's kind of neat. Let's open up these other ones because I can't open them in the full size. It's pretty good. Now let's open up the final one. All right, that's too happy. Yeah, I don't know what I'm really thinking here. I was thinking more that the slime looked like a treasure chest. This is making me feel more like it should just be a treasure chest that has eyes. I think that'd be cooler than having it be a slime. Also, you're not feeding it anything, right? Yeah. I don't think I want that. Okay, so how about this? A happy, cartoonish, medieval fantasy treasure chest. Yeah. Hey, Lammy. It's going well. We came up with an idea for like a mimic character. And, oh, that's not at all what I want. This is terrible. How about this? With a happy face. This is it. This is the last one I'm going to try. If this generates garbage, then I don't care. But I do think this process was helpful because it made me realize I don't think this thing should be a slime. I think it should just be a treasure chest. Because I think a slime is trying to communicate too much in the tiny space we're going to have. So I'm hoping we can generate something good. Yeah, these are a little bit better. None of these are exactly what I want, but this is probably the closest to what I'm thinking. One of these two. Sent you a slime chest DM. Okay, let's see. It is very happy. I think I am still leaning more toward a treasure chest with a face. Unless we had some other story for this. Yeah, I think just a treasure chest. It is cute. I do like this. Also, it's super cool that we can even do this in this day and age, right? In like 3 seconds, get a picture like this going. Imagine how long it would have taken to draw this, even if you're a professional artist and you're super fast. Probably minimally like an hour or something, right? Yeah, thank you, Bear. Okay, so I want to write this down. Yeah, so I don't think it should be a slime. I generated some AI artwork, and I just think it's a bit too much for it to be a slime. I like the idea of your town incorporating more and more monsters, and 2 slimes seems to be enough. So it's a treasure chest. So now that we don't need it to have slime in the name. Also, if you type like D&D mimic, shape-changing monster that can disguise as an object or a creature. Okay, so it's not specifically a treasure chest, but I think in most RPGs, that's what I'd consider a mimic to be. Let me do this off screen just in case. Yeah, almost every picture that shows up seems to be a mimic. Or sorry, it seems to be a treasure chest. I just type RPG mimic, so it doesn't know that I want like D&D specifically. What about Google? Google's got... Oh wait, was I searching on Google already? I think I was. Well, anyway, they're pretty similar between the 2 search engines. And yeah, they're mostly treasure chests. Thought of a slime living inside a mimic. Maybe they tried to eat each other. I love the idea that they both try to eat each other. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But I still think just graphic wise, it should probably just be a treasure chest. I also do like the Super Mario RPG. It's just a treasure chest with a face inside. Yeah, so what do we call it? The things that come to mind if we were going in the same naming style as the other ones would be probably working in greed or treasure. If it's a treasure chest, calling it a treasure chest is not what we would do. Or mimic. Not sure. Or we could call it something like Treasy. Some like nickname based on treasure. All right, let's slate this for later. I don't think we need a name for it yet, but looks wise, I think that's important. So yeah, I think I'll write art needed. Mimic stuff is going to be the mimic itself. I was picturing probably a happy treasure chest. A happy looking treasure chest. With a face somehow. Yeah. Treasure. Okay, what was the rest of the question? What are we calling it? Yeah, I don't have a name for it. That's the unfortunate part. Perks for the mimic. And everything else should be pretty much fine. Jesty, I don't think we can use that as a name. entirely in the context of a game, I think it'd be fine. But yeah, I think that provokes too much. I don't know. It's like making too many bone puns. You go a little too far, and people start connecting to other things, like Yuki did the other day. Where did I write this down? You hire a mimic. Okay, yeah. So could we name something like Greed Slime Chubert? I do kind of like Chubert. Maybe we can combine that with something else, indicating that it eats treasure, but it's not actually eating treasure, and we're not even playing into that somehow. Maybe we can call him the Treasure Whisperer. And they themselves are a treasure chest. Temporary name. It's not even a mimic though. That's the thing, right? It's like maybe it's something trapped in a treasure chest. So maybe it is a slime housed in a treasure chest, and it's just not ever clear to you that it's a slime. The treasure spirit, maybe? I don't know yet. All right, let's call it treasure spirit. And I'll just write lore really fast. I think it's a slime that's stuck in a treasure chest that now knows how to communicate with other treasure chests. Chewy. Yeah, but that's the thing that I realized through all this. It's not really a mimic. It's not even eating treasure. And that's what makes me think treasure spirit is probably best for this, because it's just something that got stuck in a treasure chest. The slime part isn't important and is probably never shared. Or never revealed, I guess I should say. Patreasure, as in Patricia. I think I'm gonna stick with treasure spirit for now, but I could definitely revisit that. It's not like mimics are defined beyond moving chests. This thing isn't even gonna move though. And yeah, it's never gonna attack, and it's never gonna provide treasure. So I feel like all the things you associate with it, it's not gonna do. And that's where treasure spirit, I think, makes it probably the closest to what I want. Treasure whisperer, treasure like some maybe soul of treasure or something. Yeah, I'm not sure. Turn into a treasure chest and there's no antidote to turn him back yet. Yeah, I like that sort of thing. I don't know if we'd ever even communicated in the game. Yeah, that could be the lore. What other questions do we have here? Here. What are we calling the new mimic? Okay, so treasure spirit for now. How do we vary the game when you go through the map a second time? I don't want people to feel bored. I think the way to spice this up would have to do with how your town evolves. So we already talked about this. It's going to be the treasure chest stuff. Do we make items matter more than gold? Does gold still matter? If gold doesn't matter, is the game still about selling stuff? What is the garbage slime's purpose? So I think we've answered all of these questions. Treasure chests are just going to be another source of loot, but they involve battling to get that loot. So it's as though battles are all of a sudden giving you more and more. Yeah. And then what? This is a Steam discussion thread? Yeah. I think this person said that they had too much gold and not enough to do. Fun demo. I enjoyed it. I'll be buying it. I'd consider adding something for a continuous gold sink. Yeah. They said their gold was capped, even if it's cosmetics or maybe there's a small gold upkeep. Gold upkeep, I don't think I'd want to do. Or salaries. I feel like that's just upkeep. But yeah, something like cosmetics I think would be pretty nice. Because at some point, you are going to unlock everything. And we could make some sort of mega upgrade that gives you superpowers. But still, then you'll unlock that too. And then what? What are you doing with gold? Because you're always earning it. So we probably need something toward the end that is purely cosmetic. And I don't have great ideas for that right now. So I guess we'll just link to that. We do need an end game gold sink that isn't just perks. It could be that we have a, what do they call it? A system that gives you very minor rewards at the end. It starts with an M. Diablo did it. What do they call that? Diablo 4 end game skills. Did it start with an M? I think in Final Fantasy, there's like a merit system or something. What do they call that? There's some other term that people use more frequently than that. I can't think of it. What do you Diablo 4 was like incremental upgrades. What are they called? Would a food system work where you give adventurers or workers a temporary stat buff for a varying amount of gold? Yeah, I suppose. I don't think it feels like a goal to work toward. Man, I could have sworn the system had a name. Yeah, I don't remember. Was it even Diablo 4 that I played? Yeah, it must have been. Did Diablo 3 have that? Oh my god, now I'm just curious for just curiosity's sake. The name of this doesn't really matter. Endless endgame grinding for incremental power increases. But what were they called? Paragon points is what they called them. Okay, so I was thinking of something totally different. But in general, how did that work? Paragon points, Diablo. I don't want to take what that system did. This is one way that we could do this. Paragon points and boards. Get access Paragon experience. Whoop. Why'd that scroll up? You get oh, I did it again. Okay, I guess we won't click anything. You get Paragon experience, unlock 5 tiles per Paragon level. Depending on your class, the board will be different. Oh, so this is like a Path of Exile type of skill tree, I guess. I never got to the end game of D4. I played for like 2 days. How to choose a board. Different tiles. There's no pictures. All right, whatever. Yeah, so that's one thing we could do. We could have these like minor upgrades. Could we have cosmetic items that you can buy? It could be that there's some infinitely scaling thing that gives minor power boosts or perk boosts. Maybe you can hire more workers via money. Maybe you can buy wisdom sludge. Regardless, I think there should be something semi-exciting that you can work toward that doesn't feel temporary. Obtaining them was on a logarithmic scale, so nobody got them all. Yeah. Yeah, by the way, thanks for sharing the name of them. I'll give you a point because I was searching for so long. Largely irrelevant to your performance. Yeah, I think it was Final Fantasy 11 that did merit points. And I don't think this was exactly the same system. Accumulating 10,000 limit points will convert into 1 merit point. I don't know how the system worked. Progression, category maximum. Okay, whatever. In general, there are lots of games that do something like this, where you get to the end of the game and they're like, okay, if you really want to keep playing, we'll give you something to feel like you're working toward it. And I really like what Stardew Valley did with this in the newest patch, or at least close to the newest patch. They added I think the mastery system or something like that. And that was really cool as a returning player. There was a lot of unique content that they made around that too, which was pretty nice. Probably didn't take them forever to develop because they already had such a well-developed system underneath it all. Okay, so that's all done. Do we need to do anything about the sludge or accrual rate? We're roughly doubling the length of the game, but haven't changed how you get sludge. So I think what we need are there's some kind of perk that changes your farm or the fishing pond. And I'm not sure how we want to do this. It could be an upgrade for the extractor. Maybe it's an upgrade for the extractor. It requires much more gold for everything, but it produces better crops and fish. Maybe your crops are worth double or triple, and your fish are worth double, something like that. Height is becoming meaningless in terms of possible progression. Yeah, by the way, to be clear here, I never really wanted Skeleseller to be an infinite game. This is just, at least in the demo right now, you have gold and you have sludge, and your gold has no use at some point way sooner than the sludge does. And given that you still need sludge, it makes sense for us to just say, okay, you know what? Take your gold, and at a very, very sucky ratio, you can buy sludge with it. But we haven't done that. Hi, Katso. Just like presses her face through the door. Come on. Go, girl. Okay, you want to come sit down? Do you? You want to just stand here? She's taken to sometimes just like sitting right here and just watching me. All resources need some kind of sync to not become irrelevant. Yeah, and at some point you hit the end of the game and you just run out of stuff to do. Like even in sort of the infinitely generated games that are out there, there's still some point where you're like, I'm done. I've extracted the fun I want to extract out of this game. Come sit down, Katso. Come. Sit. Good cat. So what was the last question? Sludge accrual rate? Yeah, I think there can be some perk for this. I love this cat. All right, where did I write the thing about the town hall? I didn't write it down, but I want to do that. Town hall perks. So after beating the Inferno, you should be able to upgrade the town hall, which should open up perks at all of the other places you've unlocked. There we can add a perk to make the farm and pond scale a little bit better. E.g., maybe the extractor requires triple the value out of potions and now doubles the value of all of your crops. Otherwise, you end the game by feeling like it's unfinished. Yeah. Yeah, and there will be some replayability features that we add. And possibly some like, hey, you beat the game. Do you want to just keep playing this? And I also think there's going to be more content added if the game does well enough. So if I launch and the game is doing, it's doing well. It's like we already localized the languages we want to localize to. Then the big things we can do are we can consider controller support. We can consider other platforms, especially mobile. And we can consider more content. And more content we have to be careful with because I don't want to do DLC. Because I don't want to charge people more money for this. But we'll have to wait and see where we stand. Because it's not free to develop this stuff. All right. So I think we've answered every question now, right? Yeah. All right. High level ideas. We kind of wrote about this stuff already. 1 year is crazy. It is crazy, Mystical Cell. Happy 1 year anniversary. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for sticking around for that long. Yeah, thank you. So other ideas, how it's framed as an impact. Things are harder now. It's not the same as a new monster lord appeared. So we talked about a cutscene for this. And what does the cutscene say? Show another cutscene, a short one, saying that the portal is upgraded and you can now go deeper into each location. We probably still want a monetary cost to gate progress through the portal. Yeah, so there will still be an unlock cost for new locations. So that, or an upgrade cost. The unlock button will probably say upgrade. Or maybe we could just lock all the locations again, but I don't think it's a good idea. But you need to know that the location got upgraded. Regardless, it should still cost money so that there's a money sink. And then we may need to make it clear which places have been upgraded. I think this will be obvious enough when you hover over them. What shows right now? It says forest level 1. Yeah, we can just change that. You can just change the name and level. What we're really doing is changing the instance ID, probably. No, let's just change the name and level. Probably implement it so that we pick an entirely different instance ID at some point. Doing okay? Glad to be here. All right, nice. Yeah, today's been productive. I'll sum it up really quickly. We were trying to figure out what's going to happen when you have beaten the whole map in the game. Because we have content up until here right now. And then you beat this and you start getting a ton of items and whatever. And I didn't want to keep expanding the map. So what we decided is, one, we'll let you like go through these locations again, but you'll go farther into each one. So you're originally in the forest, now you're in the heart of the forest or something. You're in the volcano, now you're in the lava chasm or something. And then you'll fight stronger enemies and everything. There'll be more bosses. But then you don't have anything in the town to do differently. So what we're going to add to that is you can hire the mimic or the treasure spirit or whatever we're calling them. And then you can start finding treasure chests from battle, which you'll have to open using keys. So you will start finding keys and you can use them to unlock these chests and get better loot. And yeah. So I think it's a fun idea. I think it's going to hopefully carry people to the end of the game. And I'm just looking through and we're going to try to poke holes in this a little bit. For this, I'm just trying to figure out what is this cutscene going to show. Should probably mention that it's strange you haven't found an antidote yet. So you beat the Inferno and your portal maybe just starts glowing on its own. We got to storyboard this. Not totally sure how this cutscene should go, but something like this. You beat the Inferno, show a cutscene. The portal is shaking. It changes color. You mention that maybe you'll end up finding an antidote through this new version of the portal. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Do you have any plans on a secret location? I don't think it's really fitting for this game. So when I think of secret locations, I think of a game like Castlevania, where like wall crack. Yeah, so something like this. Like this game has a lot of exploration in it, and you might just sort of accidentally hit a wall and destroy it and find a secret room. And I think it works for that kind of game. I think for this, for there to be a secret location, there'd have to be some hints in the game that you'd have to be paying attention to. And most people kind of shut their brains off at some point and stop reading a lot of this. Like I see this for quests. People read this. This is the very first quest. And then when they beat that and they see the next one, they don't read any of this. They just immediately scan down to here and see items needed and they read this part. So I think with any secret location, it's like we need to make the signs obvious enough, or we need to give you an objective that is optional, and when you complete it, it unlocks that location, but then make the optional objective like difficult maybe. So yeah, I don't think we're going to do something like that. The other thing too, by the way, from a game dev perspective, is anything that's a secret means that not all players will see it, which means you're developing content that might go unenjoyed by certain people. So let's say you spend whatever 5 days developing it, and 10% of your players see it, and of those, let's say 90% like it. It's like, well, okay, now 9% of your player base thought it was a positive thing. Is it worth spending 5 days on 9% of your player base? Maybe. Could be. Can definitely justify that. Also depends on your timeline. Okay, so we got this written down. Graphics reuse, adding a new graphical asset to the monster, and a new attack can offset it, I think. Yeah, I'll leave that there. Could be a cutscene, now go deeper, maybe all those upgrades paid off. Okay, what about giving some items weight? Take longer to move. Did I give this person a point? Because I should have. What am I doing? That's not how you search for this. This is how you search for this. I did not. Okay, let me give them a point. I don't know if they're here anymore, but yeah, they gave me this idea and I just shamelessly stole it. So, I mean, it's not a super unique idea. It's not like I'm, ripping off Tetris or something, but yeah, items having weight. I think that's pretty good. Be a hard mode fishing pond that gives more sludge and makes the fish tougher. Maybe it's an upgrade for the extractor, requires more gold for everything, and produces better crops and fish. Yeah, I like the idea of that being the case too. The pond should have hard mode fish that are much tankier. Maybe they even attack you back. Or have like pointy scales that hurt you when you do damage. The pointy scales thing doesn't make sense if you're an archer though, right? Yeah. I'm not sure how that would make sense. You probably shouldn't do that. Maybe they attack you back occasionally. Just to throw you off. Or maybe there's a shark every once in a while. Yeah. Hey, Goose. Hey, who cares? Hey, Trisket. If they're very pointy. Yeah. They're basically a puffer fish, but very large. Can you see a little cat head down here? Add Adam Cat to the game, sitting on your lap, protecting you from aggressive fish. I don't want the points to get to her. She can't be hurt by a fish. Actually, yesterday, oh man, she did the greatest thing. Let me show you this. Let me see if I can show this easily. Okay. Look at this video. So, let me start this from the beginning. She saw a wasp up there and it just ate it. I was like cheering her on. She's eaten wasps before, and I looked it up online. Like, is that bad for cats? And they said if your cat doesn't look like they're hurt, then they're not hurt. And she seemed totally fine. I mean, gross, but also she saved our lives. You're a good cat. You are protecting us. It's not from aggressive fish. Okay, so I think we've gotten everything here now. Let's try to poke holes in this. I'd really like to take a break, but now the cat's on my lap. That is a hero. She's the best kitty cat. Yeah, so here are all our conclusions. We need to convert these into tasks at some point, which I'm going to start working on probably tomorrow. Got to come up with a plan for that. Start tackling the pre-launch systems stuff. Also, let me write in the journal. I'm not probably done for today, but I'm definitely not coding today. I'm gonna say that. How long has it been? Yeah, we've put in a solid chunk of time. Whoa, wait, cat, what are you doing? She's like freaking out that I put my hand near her head. Spent the whole day designing the treasure chest system and the rest of the location reuse stuff. Feeling pretty good about what we have. So journal's done. We can move that down here now. Get 3 to 4 nests a week? Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. You probably have a lot of wasp spray then. I was gonna say I don't. I guess we don't have a huge problem. in terms of insects that I dislike the most, mosquitoes are at the top of the list. And then it's wasps. And then I don't care about pretty much anything else. We get these, like, they're not stink bugs, but they're kind of like stink bugs. I guess those are number 3. What are they called? These things. What are those called? I don't know. I don't care. I don't like those either. Everything else, they're fine. Spiders, they can live. Mosquitoes are not allowed. Okay, so cutscene for this. Need artwork for the upgraded portal. I think just changing colors is probably fine. Probably just hue shift it red. I'll write that down. Man, this cat is way too warm for the temperature in the room right now. The portal should be red after you upgrade it, indicating that you're in hard mode. This is what I'm calling it. It's not really hard mode. Yeah, file R requests and everything. Town hall should be upgraded. Yep. New perks. Done with this. Done with this. Squash bugs. Raid is my best friend. Still haven't been stung. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever really been stung by a bee or a wasp in my life. And I had this fleeting thought of, what if I'm allergic and I don't know it? But it's not like I'm looking to go get stung by bees. If I've lived this long and I haven't been stung, I'm probably, hopefully, just not going to get stung. Mosquito swarm's the worst. Yeah, Mount Rainier is like close enough to where we are. It's probably like 3 hours away, 3.5 hours away. And it is absolutely gorgeous. But depending on the time of year you go, it's like it's swarmed with flies. And other hikes aren't necessarily like that. I'm not sure why this one is. But it's very pretty. So figure out if there are any remaining questions. Cost this. Is it sufficient for the launch? If there's time, start worry, that's not going to happen. We're not even going to try to do that. All right, I have to take a break. Cat, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She's like zonked out already. I'm sorry, Cat. You mind moving? Will you please move? Catso? Yeah. Okay. All right. I will be back in a little bit. Is it jump time? It's jump time. All right, hey, we're just gonna end this if no one's playing. Close the game. Sorry, Trisket. You don't win if the game never ran. Bald Bearded Builder, thanks for the raid. I saw that you raided me last time. I sent you a Twitch whisper, which I don't know if you saw, because the only way to see them is to go to your dashboard and then look at the upper right. And if you don't have Prime, then there's already a bunch of notifications up there anyway, which you just grow to ignore. So anyway, I hope it was a good stream. I hope your last one that you rated me for was a good stream. There is, yeah, bad timing on both of those. I didn't know how else to reach out to you. See if I missed something in here. Done Mount Rainier the past 2 years at least once, and the bugs can be pretty bad from now until it's cold again. Yeah, I think the last time I went was, well, I don't know what year it was, but September or something. And I think I wrote down, do not go back in September or whatever it was, July, August. I don't actually remember. Yeah, how did the stream go? If you're even still there. I recognize I was gone for a couple minutes. Oh, because we've been making some good progress here. We have... Why is it not working? Oh, there we go. Yeah, we have a lot of little things left to do. I mostly just want to see, is there anything here that doesn't make sense in the final design that we have? So we talked about reusing locations. You beat the Inferno, and then you can go back and redo these locations. Bosses will show up directly on the mini map, or on the battle map. And you'll only fight them once. Still have to upgrade the portal after beating the boss to get to the next location. But the boss location will be accessible. Tips will have to change as a result of this. Demo may not use the full map. We just stop you from needing those items. That's fine. I did not write the thing about fighting a boss again. What did I say about that? Repeat. Maybe this could happen from a special NPC in town. They give you a list of bosses and you can choose which one to start a battle at. They could give no rewards and even have auto battling on. How would you do that? Maybe there's a special thing that unlocks at the end of the game. Yeah, I think we could write that down. They're like mosquitoes, but they're super small and don't fly. Dare I search this? Oh, these look like, are they ticks? British. Britain is harvest mites, but also known as berry bugs. Wow, yeah. Nature. Ruining everyone's day. Here's a load of insects for you and for you. I think I'm pretty lucky where I live and that nothing's really out to kill us except for maybe like one kind of spider. And I guess some of the creatures you might find on hikes, like bears. But yeah, we don't have to worry about like scorpions in our shoes or something. Face hugger aliens. Can't repeat boss fights. Okay, I want to write that down because I don't think this is a problem necessarily. You can no longer repeat boss fights. At some point, we can add this back in. There can be a perk or an NPC that lets you repeat them by accessing some special location with a drop-down menu on the battle map. Or maybe it just opens a boss selector that shows all the sprites and you can hover for their original tooltips. Which kind of spider? I think it's a black widow. Yeah. Black widow and black-footed yellow sac spider are the two most dangerous spiders. I don't know what that one is. Let's go find out. Black-footed yellow sac spider. Oh God, that's on my foot right now. Okay, I don't think I've seen these, but I did not know that was deadly. You should always know your enemy. Yeah, Black Widow spiders I knew were deadly. They look deadly. They look super deadly. They basically have a big red warning sign on them. I'm not going to show them on stream. I know some people are arachnophobic. Don't worry. Went to the lake with some friends, got swarmed by them. You know, using bug spray. Yeah, I think bug spray has questionable efficacy. I don't have a better solution other than stay inside 100% of the time. Can't get hurt if you never go outside. You also can't touch grass that way. Okay, so the boss fight repeating thing, we talked about that. I think the rest of that's all pretty sensible. This is fine, saving for the future. This is a fine conclusion about crafting. When repeating, we don't need to vary by locations. Bosses will still be that thing. That's totally cool. If we ever need to make space for anything in the town, that's another one of those advisories for later. Cutscene, I think, sounds pretty reasonable. I do actually wonder a little bit about this. This is something that we can always add in the future. Scrapping it is also easy, but it will probably cost enough time that I don't want to scrap it. Then again, I have made the original cutscene and I storyboarded it and everything. So this could be something really brief that shows up. You beat the Inferno and it shows your character walking to the portal. The portal changes from purple to red. And your character comments like, whoa, what a change. Like now maybe I can find an antidote or something. And and this is the middle ground. A lot of idle games have a prestige or an ascension system. I don't want that. I don't like when you repeat the same content and you're going like slightly faster through it or something. I don't mind if you're doing this because the entire game is like a roguelike game or something where you, well, I guess it's hard to draw that line. But yeah, there's like a lazy reuse and there's a less lazy reuse. And the reason I say this is a middle ground is we're going to reuse the graphics on the battle map. That's going to drastically cut down our dev time. It's also going to make it a lot easier to control this map as a player because you won't ever need to zoom out like crazy far. But then you're only going to go through this twice. We're not going to have you repeat it a third time. Getting bitten enough, your body gets used to their brand of itch. It mostly goes away. Really? I don't know if that's ever happened. I, like Shrek, grew up near a swamp. I was bitten by mosquitoes all the time, and I feel like I never got used to it. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, treasure chest system. You hire the mimic. Here's where we're going to need to poke at this with a finer tooth comb. So the actual getting of the mimic, I think, is easy enough. Mimic should spawn with 4 chest slots around them. They have a perks board. You can find treasure chests now. Just have a timer indicating when the mimic can open them. You can speed this up by putting keys in the chest. And when they open, they just open? Or they become highlighted and you click to open them? Huh, I never actually answered that question. Do chests open on their own when they hit 0? Probably. It would be fun to click them though. Then you can't fully idle. I think I talked about this in the scratch section of this, right? Click. No, I didn't talk about it. They go over her instead. How noble of you, Kevin. Used to our West Coast ones over here, then traveled the East Coast, and the itch was back with a vengeance. Vengeance. Live higher than the tree line, seemed to be less itchy overall to me. Huh. Wow, all right. Yeah, you definitely put more thought in this than I have. Always itchy after getting bitten. Maybe Hef is saying this like it's a universal thing, but Hef just has like superior mosquito fighting blood or something. I don't know what. The superpower they didn't even realize they had. Yeah, so what should open the chests? So if you have to open them, then we can sort of make a bit of a spectacle about this. If you, yeah, but then you can't idle. You'd come back to like 4 chests being openable. You'd also have a whole bunch of keys that just get rejected. Wait, would you have keys that get rejected? Like go into your warehouse or something. I think making you click to open them is fine. There can always be a perk to make it automatic. Yeah, let's do that. When a chest is ready to be opened, you have to click to open it. There can eventually be a perk to auto open them if we want. Yeah, it'd be easy enough to do that. Okay, good. That's good. What else? Chests have a timer indicating when they can open them. You can speed this up by putting keys in the chest. Yeah, so the way this is going to operate is you'll see a treasure chest. Huh, there's no emoji for a treasure chest? Oh, there it is. Wait, seriously? Treasure chest emojis. Why? It's not finding all of them. Emoji DB. It thinks these are all relevant. All right, well, anyway, whatever. Let's just copy this. All right, so you see this, and you have a timer above it, and it might say something like 10 minutes, 22 seconds. You are not expected to wait that long. You're expected to use keys to speed it up. And as mentioned, you have different keys. Like, let's say the green key is -1 minute. And the red key might be -20%. And the other keys don't really matter, I guess. The skeleton key is going to be just immediately open. So you might use the red key on this, and this immediately goes down to roughly 8 minutes, right? And then you use a green key, and it goes down to 7 minutes. And while you're doing that, probably another few seconds have passed. So eventually, you open this thing. It will probably have taken you a total of 2 minutes, even though it started at 10. This is not like those mobile games where the hours slowly tick by and you barely get anything, and then you speed it up by spending real life money or something. It's not like that at all. Someone tell the Unicode forum. Turn on the Unicode signal. There's just the big question mark in the sky. People are like, that's my call. Maybe like a week ago you rated someone who streamed your game. Did you receive any feedback from her? Oh, from Syndra? Not really. I watched the whole stream. She was pretty quiet during the stream. And I think at the end she said like, yeah, that was fun. I liked it. And I chalked it up to her being pretty absorbed by the game, I guess. I've never watched her play another game, so I don't know. Is she like that with all games, or was she just like dialed in or something? And yeah. People have been sharing some suggestions for the game, but no one has pretty much said like, oh yeah, I really didn't like the game and here's why. And even we've kind of heard the opposite. We've heard from a bunch of people saying something like, I've never played an idle game before, but I liked that. I liked Skeleseller, right? So yeah, feedback's been pretty good. We are, by the way, finally at 40 Steam reviews, and 10 more reviews. If we can keep the, oh, now we're 41. If we can, in 9 more reviews, if we can keep the same general percentage, it'll say very positive for all reviews. At 500 reviews, you can start seeing overwhelmingly positive. And that's a pretty universal signal that this game is, you know, good. Like Undertale has an overwhelmingly positive rating. It also has 250,000 reviews, which is bonkers. Stardew Valley, overwhelmingly positive. Yeah, 765,000. Terraria. Terraria's got like the most reviews of any game I think I've seen. Yeah, 1.1 million. And I'm guessing Balatro has it. I know a ton of games have it. I'm just thinking of some indie games that I've played that, yeah, overwhelmingly positive. Yeah, pretty crazy. Hey, Sphere for you. And hey, Samatela. Welcome in, everybody. I was just looking at Steam review aggregations. Everyone who's used Steam has probably seen these things before, but you might not know what allows you to get to overwhelmingly positive. It's not just having a 100% positive rate. You also need a certain minimum number of reviews. So if you have less than 50, the best score you can get is positive. And if you have 50 to 499, the best score you can get is very positive. And then beyond that, you can get overwhelmingly positive. Doesn't know Bellatra. I played on Game Pass. Hey, Penguin. But yeah, how'd the stream go? Welcome in, welcome in. Shout out to Spheriphoria. There we go. We spent all of today designing some new systems for Skeleseller. So as a brief little, let me get everyone up to speed here. I'll let this trailer play on the side. This is the game that we're making. And we launched the demo, actually probably in like November, so a long time ago. But then Next Fest happened, and then I started marketing the game. And now there's enough interest where I think the biggest problem is that we need more content and for people's expectations to be met for the launch. And launch should be in a few months. So like I've been saying September-ish. Who knows if that's possible. But we didn't really know what would be between the demo and launch other than some stuff that's already there. So like we had some adventurers in the game. What if we just made more adventurers? And what if we had more bosses? Those are easy enough to do. We have the systems coded already, so we just drop in more data. But what we talked about today is we're going to have a treasure chest system. And the way this is probably going to work is that you'll do battles. And in addition to finding items from the battles, so like here we just found, well, it says keys, but imagine that said potions or something. In addition to finding potions or whatever regular items, you'll also find treasure chests. And then you can unlock the treasure chest with keys and get better loot. So I'm hoping that that system is an interesting way to kind of ease you into the end of the game. Because, yeah, once you've made it through this battle map, we just have sort of more content and not different content, really. What are you working on? Yeah, so hopefully that gave you a good overview of what's going on here. Making this game Skeleseller. We've got a lot of work to do in the next few months. Do you use Dvorak or something? I'm watching your right middle finger go down a lot while you're typing. Sorry not to derail. Feel free to ignore. I use Colmac DH. So my keyboard looks like this. And then on this side, it is this. Sorry, it's hard to do because a lot of these are combos. So that's my layout. The middle finger going down a lot could be any number of things. It's the E key, which is the most common English letter. It's also the down arrow when I'm in this, and it's also 5 when I'm in the number layer. So yeah, depending on what I'm doing, you might see a lot of different things here. Every time I join, you're talking about your dumb keyboard. Are you joining at all the right times then, huh, Pies? Anyway, I'm really excited about this treasure chest system. So yeah, there'll be different chests that drop from battle and then different keys that you can use to do different effects to the chests. So for example, this one might increase the loot in the chest and this might just decrease the opening time. There's a timer before each chest opens and you have to lower that time down to 0 to open it. And the skeleton key is probably just going to immediately open it. So I'm excited about that. We'll throw in more of these item graphics into the game and have you get some cool loot from them. The marketing efforts have actually been really, really good. If you look at YouTube and search Skeleseller, and we just go to videos in the last week, which is when most of the videos have been, this person's video got like 60,000 views. This person's got 20,000 views. These funneled so many people into the game. I can actually show you some of the stats for this. So I made all of this really tiny, so I'm going to put this all into VS Code. On February 3rd, we had 67 unique players. And you can see this number slowly climb so that we multiplied it by 10 in the first 4 days. So we got to 670, or sorry, 14 days. Then it was pretty slow after that. So you can see that was February. Then we get to April and it's gone up by another 50%. Then look at the difference between June 10th, 1400, and June 30th, 4800. That was all caused by me starting to market the game. And I think what happened here is I reached out to, let's say, like 20 YouTubers. And I was mostly focused on the people in the like 50 to 5,000 sub range. And then those people, some of those people made some videos. And then I think those caught on with some of the bigger YouTubers. And yeah, it led to this. And actually I just saw, yeah, there's some new videos. So yesterday this person did a video, 1.1 thousand views. And then there was an Argentinian guy that's got 3,000 views. And yeah, I haven't watched this one yet. I only just found this. Old Lady Games did a video. I have not, I don't know. I don't know what to expect exactly, but it's a 3-hour video on just Skeleseller. So like she probably had fun playing. Anyway, that is to say that the marketing effort's been going well. Yeah, it's just outreach. Yeah, exactly. And I've been, the way I started doing this, and I did a lot of this on stream, except I'm not going to share personal information, obviously, but I just went to YouTube and found people who played similar games, got their channels, went to their channels, found their email address or something, then just started sending out emails. And I like watched their channels to see what are they playing or what do they like or what should I talk about in the email to try to get them to respond. And like I said, it's been pretty good so far. So the goal for this week is to reach out to another like 15 people. I also wanted to post to reddit.com/r/play my game. I was gonna do this yesterday, but then I found out that rule 2 is you must contribute to 3 to 5 other games. So it says don't just post your feedback or don't just post your game, also review other people's. So I spent yesterday making 3 posts and they're not like throwaway things. If you look at my profile on here, it's like I wrote a lot of feedback, all of that, and all of this, so that I wasn't violating the Reddit rules for this. And now I can go post there. So yeah, marketing's taking me a lot of time. I think it's paying off, but it might just be luck right now. Would it be better to do this after the game is fully released? Like now the only thing people can do is wish list. I wish list stuff all the time, then forget about it. So there's a website called How to Market Your Game. And they talk about stale wish lists. Yeah, this. Do wish lists get old? So it takes a long time to develop a game. You get some wish lists early on, blah, blah, blah. Their conclusion from looking at all the stats was that people who wish listed a while ago will still convert with roughly the same conversion rate that newer people will convert with. So yeah, here's an example. This is over the course of like a year and a half, which is kind of roughly the amount of time it will have been for me too. And yeah, you don't really see any conversion rate spikes, right? The people who did it in October 2020 are roughly the same as the people who did it in just September right before the launch. So yeah, some people aren't going to convert, but some people wouldn't have converted even if they wishlisted it like last week. They have their target audience for sure. Yeah, it's a pretty good website. And I think the work he's doing on here is helpful. It has changed my mind on a few things and has dispelled some of the fear I had around this. Because like Pai said, this is a hypothesis of, hey, an old wish list might not be worth a lot. And at least according to this person's research that they had done, it's probably worth a decent amount. So I do think the marketing helps now. The other thing that it helps with, and this is super valuable to me. So let's say this was the list of people who had streamed the game, and it's not. It's the list of people I want to reach out to. But let's say we had this list. Now, anyone who said like, oh, this was a cool game, I'll check it out at launch, I have a list of people to send a Steam key to, and they'll probably make another video. So that is like probably even more valuable than them having covered it the first time, because their likelihood of making another video is much higher and they are already into the game. So that is incredibly helpful. So yeah, I definitely don't think I would have done this a different way. And I think this was all required. It was like based on me being in Next Fest, because we did so much polish and bug fix work for that the game was actually like playable and fun for people. Had it been before that, I probably would have gotten feedback like, oh, what are you going to do with this system or this content, or there's a bug here, or yeah, not many people ran into like game breaking issues. Some people did, but yeah, be careful so you don't get banned like Wendy did that one time he tried to connect with other game devs on the subreddit. What happened? I'm following all the rules as far as I know. Really glad you're gaining traction. Was a little daunting at the start. Oh yeah, it's super daunting. And I look back at what I did back in the Botland days and I'm like, man, I was an idiot. I just did not know. I didn't know who to reach out to, how to reach out, how to get results. I don't think the game was as polished. I don't think the game was as universally appealing either. Yeah, anyway, part of the reason I'm excited about this stuff is because for me, this was a massive hurdle in so many ways. There was the lack of knowledge, but there was also the lack of comfort. You can know how to do something and then not want to do it. But in this case, I not only didn't know, but I also didn't want to do it. And it's definitely work, but seeing that it pays off is helpful. All right, so any other questions that we have? That's what we're trying to do, is poke holes in this idea that we had over here. So you hire the mimic, you get some treasure chests, they tell you how it works and everything. You start getting them, you realize how the system works. It should probably start out pretty slow at first. I'm gonna write this down. Should probably start this system out pretty slowly. You get chests and keys are pretty expensive. So the opening time is like 5 minutes. It'll help for anticipation. Then it should ramp up toward the end of the game. Hey, Blue. Are you aware of Indie Sunday on r/games? I think developers can promote there on Sundays. No, I'm not. I'll write that down. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds helpful. Okay, everything else is pretty reasonable here. I'm very, very happy with this document. Now you might think 8 pages, Adam, that's nothing for you. That's because there's another 27 pages over here. All right, so I wrote cost this. I'm not certain this matters. In my mind, we have to do this. So if it takes 2 months to do it, we're taking 2 months to do it. But it'll also be clearer as we go through it. So how about this? I'll just write a thing here. Maybe Monday. Tenants, journal. Get a general gauge on how long this work will take. I budgeted July for what exactly? We're using areas on the map. Oh my God, add challenge modes? Okay. Whoops. Forgot there was a whole other thing that we had to do. So I budgeted July for this and for challenge modes. And I haven't designed the challenge modes. And then is this sufficient for the launch? Yeah, that's one of the biggest questions. It's going to be the biggest playtest question of this. Biggest playtest question. Are these changes sufficient for the launch? Do people see themselves playing for a long time? Oh, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. Let me share this. So the median playtime started at like 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's been going up consistently, and now it's at 1 hour and 54 minutes. It's gone up by another like 5 minutes in the last week. This might not sound like a lot, but for a demo being played for almost 2 hours, that's pretty good. So I'm very heartened by all of these things that I'm seeing here. I don't think this will take that long, but the challenge modes could. I could have seen you saying this either way. Oh, the challenge modes won't take long, but the treasure chest stuff will. I think there are going to be a lot of problems to solve. That's for sure. In both areas. I guess you have a nice advantage for playtime with it being an idle game. So I think that's semi-true. This is not a traditional idle game. Because, yeah, normally I would think that, like, oh, well, people just leave the game running or something. And maybe that's what's allowing people to get to the higher times, which I didn't show you the breakdown, but I think I can show you that. Yeah, if I click this. Yeah, so this shows that 7% of players played for at least 5 hours. Those are probably mostly idle players, I would guess. And then people who played, once in an old demo and then once in a new demo, such that their 2 play times summed to 5 hours. But I think a lot of these people are people who just kind of played normally and had fun playing. Oh yeah, it's impossible for me to know. I can't see more granular data than this. And the average time played is 2 hours and 23 minutes. I wasn't playing the island is bad. No, I didn't think you were. It's like when people play WoW and they're like, oh well, my playtime is 14 days, but I left the game running a lot of nights. It's like, well, then okay, fine. It was 12 days. That's still a lot. But yeah, in this case, I think the numbers we're not talking about like super huge numbers. I think it was probably people who were there at their computers, but hard to know. So if I got to 100 hours, do I up it to 1%? The final one? I didn't see what the final breakdown was. Oh, here? I'm not sure. It probably rounds down. Yeah, it definitely rounds down because we see that there are 54 people who have 20 plus hours and it registers as 0%. I don't know what these people are doing. I don't even have 20 hours in the game. I have 9 hours. I guess this is the Steam version though. Yeah, I probably have more than 20 hours then. Just in case it came across that way. Am I poisoning you, Spherophoria? This sounds like the kind of thing I would say to you. And I believe you would say, don't worry about it at all whatsoever. I never thought about it again. They've never left your game. They're trapped. The Twilight Zone for them. All right. Well, we have wiped the slate clean here. Man, I feel like the last couple weeks have been really good. Oh, remember, oh darn it, I didn't remember this myself. Friday's gonna be no stream. The 4th of July. Oh, we're gonna probably start this, yeah, maybe tomorrow. Do some afternoon stuff. Also, I read Zico's doc. I'll delete this. Sometimes I leave it on when working from home to catch trades during the day. Surely that's the majority of those hours. Imagine if you could check. You're like, yeah, 14,500 hours left just AFKing in the game. Oh, hey, this is now wrong. Main goal after next fest. Gifts updated. Reach out to 10 more good influencers as a marketing plan. All right, main goal. Prep for launch. Get the bullet points messed up. Can I fix those? I can fix those. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna go find somebody to raid. I always feel bad. Sphere4 and I now pretty much know not to raid each other because our streams are gonna end shortly thereafter. Who are we gonna raid? Yeah, everyone that I would kind of want to raid has been streaming for a long enough time that I think I'll find someone new. I try not to raid out to people who are about to end, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I usually like watching for a little bit. And it's always kind of a bummer when someone's like, oh yeah, I'm just about to go on a half-hour break or something. All right, so here are all the list of people. So we're looking for people I'm not following, and sometimes it's lies. Like I think I am following Theo. And for people who have a low uptime, it's like this person, but they're also streaming in Portuguese. I try to find people who mostly just stream in English. Hey, Ogo Dev's a streamer? Well. I didn't know that. Let's go raid them. Did I know that? Am I following them? No, I'm not following them. Wow. How neat. They show up to my stream. Oh, did something just crash? I can't click or type. Nope, there it goes. All right, thank you all for watching. I'll be back tomorrow, but probably just for the morning. I'll do any other work off stream. There are the Discord servers if you want to join. And I hope you have a good rest of your Wednesday. Bye, everybody.